So today is the day in the life of Javier and what it looks like to be a real estate investor. Doing a couple walkthroughs today, actually. The first property we're going to is in Jacksonville. And I actually bought this property on October 29th, and I have not even walked it not one time. And the reason why I haven't, and you're probably wondering, like, wow, you bought a property sight unseen? No, I didn't actually. So what I do is, for majority of the properties I buy, at the stage of the investment career that I'm in, I don't walk the properties anymore. I let other people walk them. So I get someone who has boots on the ground. So obviously, as you can see, I'm coming from Orlando, and that's a 2.5 hour drive, essentially. And it doesn't make sense for me to drive all the way over there every single time that I need something done or I need a property walkthrough. I'd rather either get someone on my team or pay someone like $50 to $75 to get my questions answered, right? So I might have someone go over there and take photos and videos of the inside, and part of that standard operating procedure that I give them, I'm gonna say, hey, can you take pictures of the AC, all the plumbing, the water heater, and I want labels of everything. That way, if we don't see the date on something, we can look up the serial number to see what the age of something is, right? But I'm sending somebody over there, and that's saving me so much time and energy. So right now, the property that we're gonna go to in Jacksonville was actually a property I bought via Subject 2. And if people don't know what Subject 2 is, no worries. I actually did a whole entire video explaining exactly what Subject 2 is. So if you click that link, you'll see the whole explanation, and I deep dived into what Subject 2 is, because I still get a lot of people asking me what Subject 2 is, what creative financing is. No worries, I did a whole video on it, so check that link out. But where we're gonna go today is a property I bought via Subject 2, meaning I took over the underlying mortgage on the property. There's hundreds and hundreds of these deals happening every single month, just so you know. And this property, we bought it at like $360,000. It had an underlying VA loan, veteran loan. That stayed in place. We never paid that off. I acquired this property with a 5.8% interest rate, I believe. And I think the remaining outstanding loan balance is like $340,000. Now, I know a lot of you guys are probably about to say, like, oh, there's no equity in that deal. That's fine. That's okay. Okay? Because these are long-term holds for me, so I'm okay with waiting 7, 10, 15, maybe even keep it in my portfolio forever and pass it along to my family. But when I look at a piece of real estate, I'm not just looking at it for the equity that I'm buying. So, but this particular property, yes, it doesn't have much equity. So the exit strategy when I analyzed this property was PadSplit. And the reason why is because I'm a buy and hold guy. I like to marry my money and not date my money. And what I mean by that is, when I take my assets, I actually like to take them and keep them in the portfolio. I don't like to buy and exit 2-3 months later. That's what we call fix and flippers, right? Those are the individuals who are making, active income. Everything that I focus on is wealth building. Every asset that I buy is to keep in the portfolio for a long time. It could be 5, 7, 10 years, depending on what property it's at. So this particular property, I have never even been to. This is my first time walking through the property. And I don't even have to go walk it today, but I'm gonna spend my time and go walk it, because even though I'm driving 2.5 hours there and I have to drive about 2 hours back to Orlando, I'm actually doing killing multiple birds with one stone, right? And what I'm doing is, one, I'm gonna walk the property, right? That's in Jacksonville. We converted it from a 4.4 to a 9.4. Two, I'm sitting here recording content, giving you guys value, showing you guys the day-to-day of what I do and what it looks like to be a real estate investor. I want you guys to be able to see the behind the scenes, the headaches that I deal with, right? And one of my properties right now, I have a $10,000 headache is what I call it. So we're gonna go to that Jacksonville property. After that, we're gonna go to one of my other co-living properties, which is in Palm Coast. And the reason why I'm going to that property is because that property's on the way back to Orlando, and I'm getting what we're doing is what we're called a repipe at the whole property. So that property had copper piping. We're ripping it all. Well, we're abandoning that piping. We're not ripping it out. We're going to abandon the piping. It's going to stay there, but it's going to be cut. And we're going to put all PEX plumbing in. PEX plumbing is the newest, best plumbing today, right? Best technology. PEX A, by the way. Whatever. A lot of controversy there, right? But after we do that quick walkthrough, because I want to see how good of the contractor did. So I'm doing the walkthrough in Jacksonville. Then I'm gonna go to Palm Coast, do a 5-10 minute walkthrough of the property, seeing how good of a job that contractor's doing. And then after that, I'm going to be speaking at a event tonight in Palm Coast. So as you can see, I'm doing multiple things. So like I said, I'm walking 2 of my properties. One's getting replumbed. The other one is finalized on PadSplit. We're about to do the photo shoot on Monday, this upcoming Monday. And that property is going to go live by the end of the month. It actually took me 22 days to get this property up and running. If you are someone who wants to scale in the PadSplit co-living industry, I've actually put together a 3-day free challenge for you guys to take. This is going to take you from A to Z, and the way you get access to this free challenge is by clicking the description below and signing up. It's absolutely free, and you're going to get all my SOPs. That way, when you start scaling your co-living business, you can take it from walking properties and being hands-on and very involved to being hands-off like I am, and not being involved very bare minimum, right? Because I had the right systems and processes in place. So I have packaged all that together. I put it together in a 3-day free PadSplit challenge. It's called the Take Flight Challenge. And if you guys click the description below, you get it absolutely free, and you can see exactly how I'm running and operating my co-living business. And then I'm gonna continue to give you guys tons of content today, showing you guys what it looks like to be behind the scenes as an investor on a day like today, which is, for me, is property walkthroughs, and I'm gonna be at a speaking engagement today. And I packaged all this together on this Thursday purposely, okay? I like to try to package things together. Like if I have a lot of meetings, I try to get them all done in one day on my calendar. Like for instance, like phone meetings is what I'm talking about. Like somebody wants to chat with me, I'll free up like a Wednesday for anybody who hits me up and wants to collaborate with me on the phone. They'll use my calendar link, and then they'll book a call with me via Zoom or a phone call, and I'll make all those people book with me just for that Wednesday or Tuesday. That way I'm being efficient as possible. So follow along today. I hope you guys get tons of value out of it, and that way you can see behind the scenes of what it looks like for a property that went from a 4.4 to a 9.4, and then you can see the behind the scenes from the property that we have PEX, we're getting repiped. You can see that as well, and yeah, we're gonna continue to keep moving through the day, getting through it, and talk about all the surprises that I've been getting lately as the real estate investor. And that's another thing, I mentioned a second ago. I mentioned $10,000 problems. This repipe is costing me $6,500. That happened out of nowhere. So you can imagine if you don't have the right CapEx budget every single month, you're putting away the oh shit fund, right? Because your AC, your roof, your plumbing, your electrical, toilets, et cetera, things only have a certain lifespan. So what I always tell people, you should be at least allocating minimum of 10% of your gross revenue toward your CapEx budget, future improvements to the property, and or when you have a leaky toilet, or you need to replace a roof or an AC or your plumbing, stuff like that. It's super important you have that for every single property. You have some type of reserve set aside that is ready to deploy when you have situations like this happen. This happens all the time. I don't get upset. If it's happening to you right now at one of your properties, don't get upset. It's part of the game. It's the nature of the business. You have to budget correctly, and if you're budgeting correctly, you'll be fine. So obviously, I'm able to get a tax write-off out of it. I'm able to make that improvement to the property to where this type of PEX plumbing, PEX A plumbing will last, according to them, 25 years, whatever. I always say all materials these days are garbage. Nothing is built well anymore. And right now, they're saying PEX Plumbing, PEX A, is the best product on the market. Who knows? I'm sure if you're a plumber, you're watching this, you're probably drop in the comments below. Let me know what you think. What is the best plumbing? I know galvanized, if you have galvanized in your property, I'm not a plumber, by the way. I'm not trying to act like I'm a plumber, but if you have galvanized plumbing, super old plumbing, get it out of there, rip it out. Copper, it's starting to create water leaks in a lot of people's homes right now, or slab leaks. For instance, the property that we'll be going to later today is a slab leak that I have that we didn't even know. The only way we found out was the water bill kept rising and rising every single month. And then you have your polybutylene piping, which back in the day, in the 90s, early 2000s, they had a class action lawsuit. There was a certain, the joints were creating leaks. And so what was happening was their insurance company, or not the insurance company, but the manufacturer who was making the polybutylene piping, they couldn't track down the batch that was causing the leaks. So they just discontinued all of that type of material for plumbing. And what the insurance companies are doing now is, if they see that your property has galvanized plumbing, PEX, or not PEX, excuse me. If you have galvanized, if you have polybutylene, even you're gonna start seeing insurance companies that are getting on to CPVC, which they're not yet, not that I've seen, but majority of the time, it's if you have, you're gonna have insurance issues only, majority of the time, if you have polybutylene piping. That piping right there is, to the insurance eyes, they look at it as high risk, and they're like, oh, we don't want to insure you, or they're going to charge you a huge premium to insure your home because your home is prone to floods, so you're high risk to them. So remember, when you get an insurance quote from an insurance company, they look at the 4-point inspection and they assess the risk to see how much risk it is to be taking you on for insurance, homeowner's insurance. Right? Is your AC updated? Is your plumbing updated? Is your electrical updated? Is your roof updated? These are the things that they're looking at, the hearts and lungs of the property. And if these things aren't within a certain lifespan, then they're either going to say, hey, we can't insure you, or they're going to write you a premium that is just astronomically super expensive, and you're not going to want to pay that. So when you're acquiring properties, make sure that if these things aren't updated, you're getting the property at a steep enough discount to where you can go ahead and make these updates, right? So like the property that I'm replumbing today, I'm not super upset, because when I bought that property, that's a property I bought subject to, and I bought it for $12,000. But don't get me wrong, I knew that there was copper piping in there, but I wasn't gonna go and update the system until there's problems. So like, I'm the type of investor I'm the type of guy where I don't fix something until it's broken. So now the plumbing's broken, right? There's an issue. Let's go ahead and update the whole entire system. And by the way, I do not, and I repeat, I do not. If you have a slab leak, do not repair it. I'm seeing a lot of people go in there, they get plumbers, they chisel up that slab, and they make all this mess, make all this noise, charge all this money, that you could have just went ahead and repiped your home. So for instance, I got a slab leak quote because the plumber I called out there, he automatically wrote me one. He gave me a slab leak quote for almost $3,000, and to repipe the home was about $6,500. So you're almost 50%, right? What you're paying to repair a slab leak, you could have had spent another 50%, double that money up, and got your whole entire house repiped. That's a way better investment than doing a slab leak repair. So I do not recommend do these slab leak repairs. There's people who are doing them. There's plumbing companies who are selling you on it, is because they want to continue to be back at your property making repairs. So drop a comment below if you have dealt with slab leaks, or if you dealt with plumbing leaks, and how have you rectified them? What type of plumbing does your property have? Are you doing and seeing that PEX-A is the best product out there? If you're a plumber, actually, I would love to hear what your opinion is, because it's funny, because all the plumbers I call, one of my main questions is, hey, what type of materials are you using for repipes? I'm still hearing plumbers say, oh, we're using CPVC. Majority of them are using PEX-A right now, but I'm still hearing a lot of them are using CPVC. And right now, CPVC is very brittle, very, very brittle. And it's starting to cause issues. So like I said, it's a matter of time before we hear that PEX-A is going to be causing issues. Well, so we'll see. Right now I'm updating it with the newest, the best technology that you can put in a house for piping. But I know that 5, 10, 15 years from now, there could be other issues that has arisen with PEX-A. So we'll see. They say 25-year warranty, so hopefully I get my 25 years out of it, or maybe I might have sold the house. So another upsell to this for me is not only is it a tax write-off, but I'm able to upgrade my home plumbing system, which will be an upsell to the new buyer who buys my property in the future. So I'm excited for that. That's Julian's like, bro, you can go on and on and on.
No, I'm just saying, it's just amazing. I got some questions, and
Let's
just like kind of like some questions along the road. So,
what's your question?
So let's talk about pad splits.
Pad splits. Okay, go ahead.
How do you evaluate the demand for affording a house in your choosing market?
How do I evaluate the demand
for affordable housing in your choosing market?
Oh, okay, gotcha. So when I go and look at a market, I always say you have your main core markets, right? Like I'm in Florida, so you have your main core markets. Let's talk about main core markets. You have Tampa, Jacksonville, Miami, right? You have your main core markets that Jacksonville or PadSplit runs marketing to. And it's common sense. Why are these main core markets? Why? Because the population, the job growth, right? The demand. So this is why they have launched these markets. But I do notice that there is actually secondary markets that are just as good as these core markets. I'll make it an example. Palm Coast property that I launched. I was the #1 property in Palm Coast that was on PadSplit. So guess what? I have zero competition. Now the flip side of that is PadSplit doesn't take a lot of marketing dollars and allocate it toward that marketing. So on the stabilization side of that asset, it's going to take longer for me to stabilize that asset, in the sense of PadSplit only sends a certain amount of marketing dollars out there for my market, and they're not even directly advertising in my market. I'm actually getting the overlay of like Daytona and St. Augustine, right? When people are searching, I'm still popping up. So I'm kind of getting the overlay. But as more hosts come into that market, they will start spending more marketing dollars to get a consumer to book a room, right? So what I look for when I'm investing into a new market for PadSplit is A, is there 100,000 residents that are living there, right? B, who are the major employers? Is it your school boards? Is it your Walmarts? Is it your Lowe's, your Home Depot? Know your market. Who are the biggest employers? Okay, that's B. So once I see that there's 100,000 people in there, who are the biggest employers? C for me is job growth. What's the job growth look like for that market? And I go over all this, by the way, in my 3-day Take Flight Challenge. And if you guys click the description below, you can get access to it 100% free. And it gives you every single thing that I do to analyze a property, to taking down a property, to furnishing a property, to how to manage your teams, all that stuff. It's all packaged in there for you guys for free. It's called the 3-day Take Flight Challenge in the description below. So when I'm analyzing the market and it meets that 3 criteria that I made, like I'm looking at it, it's got 100,000 population or more. I know who the major employers are. I know that there's increase in job growth year over year. Then I will say, okay, that's a good market for me to invest into. and I see that there's no competition, I like that there's no competition because I know that I can corner the market. I can charge maybe a little bit more premium per week. So remember, the individuals who are staying at these properties are individuals who might work at like a Walmart or a Target, or they might work at Amazon or Lowe's or Home Depot, or maybe they work at Publix, or maybe some of them are even retired. It's crazy because you get all walks of life. And that's the beautiful thing about it is so when I go in these markets, especially these secondary markets, and I'm starting to like these secondary markets more than these primary markets, because the primary markets, you have a lot more competition. Everything in this world, guys, is on supply and demand. If there's a lot of supply and not enough demand, you're going to have to drop your weekly rate. And what I've noticed for being a PadSplit host for the last year, I have 33 units. And what I've noticed is the pricing is dynamic in an aspect, meaning you might have to lower, you might, let's say, get a room at $250 a week booked out for 6 months, and that person has circumstances that have changed in their life where they now have to move, right? And that person now is, you have to refill that room. And when you go to refill that room, you might have to price at $225 or $230. I typically don't have to drop that low, but you might have to change it up a little bit, because when you listed that house or you booked that room, the supply might have been a lot lower, right? And the demand was very high. But remember, that could change. So when you're doing this, make sure you understand the market, how much supply there is. And the best way to do that is, if you go on PadSplit.com, you can go under their resource tab. And under their resource tab, they will show you each market that they're in, and they'll show you by zip code how many listings are in that zip code. So the property that I just bought in Jacksonville, I only buy east of the river now. I don't buy west of the river. East of the river, you get a lot higher rate, weekly rate. It's just way more nicer, appealing area. The house that I just bought to 4.4, we converted it into a 9.4. That property is gonna go anywhere from $200 a week upwards to $300 a week per room. And let me be clear, $300 a week is only for 2 bedrooms that have some private bathrooms. So I'm able to charge more of a premium. And I know the market because there is no PadSplits that have private bathrooms right now. Well, there's like 3-4 of them. So the supply is very low. The demand is very high. Because when someone books a co-living space, let me ask you, Julian, if you were to book a co-living space,
Yes.
think about living in a home with 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 strangers, because the average house has anywhere typically between 5 bedrooms upwards to 10 bedrooms.
Yes. And you're individually...
What are some big things that you would look for if you were to rent a bedroom? What are some big things that would be appealing to you? Like, you know that you're about to live in a house at
With
1 through 5 different people, you never met them before.
Yeah.
What are some big things that would stick out to you?
That like you would want to have in the PadSplit?
Correct. As you, what's an amenity, or how would you want your room set up? Now remember, granted, these are fully furnished rooms. You can't bring any of your furniture.
Okay. So that means basically that's a one question I feel like people are gonna ask, is basically like, do I have to bring any furniture or anything?
They don't have to bring, all utilities are included. But what I'm saying is, if you as the consumer are going to book a co-living room, what are some things that you're looking for when you book a co-living room?
Does it have a TV?
Does it have a TV? Okay, great. What else? What are some big things to you? Think about that for a second. Does it have a TV? Okay, great. You want to know that I can watch TV because you probably like to watch TV in the evenings.
And even like when you're in a small space with 5 people, it's like almost like you have like your own, like it's almost like a dorm room area.
Dorm room area, okay.
So it's like you want it to feel like, okay, like this is like my personal space away from the people that already live here.
So what are you looking for amenity-wise?
Somewhere like a...
TV's important to you?
TV, a desk.
Why would you say a TV's important to you?
Because you're not having a living room.
You don't have a living room, okay?
You don't have a living room, so basically it's like you want to figure out. Some people either have a TV just to like to watch what's going on and basically like do stuff like that. So it's like an amenity just for like entertainment purposes.
Okay.
Personal. A desk.
A desk.
So like if I'm working, I want
Okay.
to make sure I can be on a desk that's close to like any outlets or anything like that.
Okay.
I mean, it's already gonna come with a fridge, so I don't think you need like I don't think it comes,
Fridge?
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this. Are you okay with setting your food in a fridge, let's say that's in the kitchen, that other people are using? Are you okay with setting your food in there?
Yeah, no. So probably have like your own like mini fridge.
You want a mini fridge?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
So like have like a mini fridge.
Okay. So mini fridge. So you said TV, mini fridge,
Desk.
and a desk.
Yeah.
Will those be your top three?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's your top three things that you look for.
I would be satisfied
So
if I have those three appliances.
let me ask you this. Two things also that some people will really look for, and it's a deal breaker if they can't find it, are they want a private bathroom. They don't want to have to share their bathroom with anyone, right? And AC.
Doesn't the house already come with AC?
It does, and we keep it at 75 degrees in the summertime. But the question is wouldn't you want to control your own climate, preferably? Or wouldn't you want to be able to have your own private bathroom, preferably? Right? So
there's like some
I'm asking you, is 75 comfortable for you all year round, pretty much? 75 degrees, or do you sleep at 69 degrees?
75 is pretty minimal.
Okay, so 75 is not a deal breaker.
No,
okay,
it's
so
not
you're
a deal
happy.
breaker. Yeah, I'm
okay,
happy
cool.
with temperature, yeah.
What about, would you be okay with sharing a room or a bathroom?
That is something where it's a little gray area, because depending on the people, because it's just depending on the people, because you don't know who these people are. Basically, they're gonna have like a bunch of different toiletry items. So it's like, it's something where it's like, if it's gonna be where everyone's accessible in it, how accessible is it? So it's like, could I take a shower there when I need to? Can I, brush my teeth, or do I have to or is it gonna be like, I have to take turns, whatever, every time I'm, in the bathrooms. So that's like a little bit. That's also like another concern, I think, as well. But temperature-wise, I think that some people will also be concerned about, because some people sleep with cold air, so it's like 65 degrees.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about for you specifically.
But for me specifically, temperature wouldn't be an issue, but definitely having like my own bathroom would definitely get me more interested in PadSplit.
So if you were in a position to where you had to pay another $30, $40 a week, right? Every single week, let's call it 30, 69, that's $120 a month additional, right?
So
to have your private bathroom. Would you pay that?
So
I mean, I guess it depends on your financial.
Me personally, so if it's $129, right, for a month, plus the $30 to have my own private bathroom, so making it around like $150. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I would actually make that trade.
Cool.
I would make that trade. Yeah.
Cool. So that's my point, right? Like, knowing your market, knowing how many properties are out there with private bathrooms is super important. The Jacksonville property we're about to go to, I think there's like 3, 4 around me that have private bathrooms, and all the properties are very like super basic. They didn't go out and do they didn't go out and do the Javier co-living PadSplit. Like, they didn't make it Mac Daddy,
Yeah.
So knowing your market is super important to what dictates if you're going to invest in that market or not for a PadSplit. The population growth, what is the population, employment, job rate growth, stuff like that. Are there big employers moving to that market? Stuff like that, right? Is the Amazon there? Are there distribution centers?
How far is it from your workspace?
Right. How far is it from your workspace? Is there transient? Is there a transient system? Stuff like that.
Okay. Yeah, that would make sense though, because basically when you're looking at this property, it's like, yeah, it looks like you're at, like, I mean, it's a nice house, but then also you realize like there's also like people that are gonna be living in there. So it's like you have a roof over your head, but you also realize there's also like 4 other people that are like gonna be in this property too.
Yeah.
So you guys just knowing basically that you're not alone, but you also have like your own space where people just can't like invade.
Yeah.
People just
So
can't be private.
let me ask you. So do you have an apartment right now?
Yes.
You have an apartment, like, or a studio?
I have an apartment, so I have a 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom.
1 bedroom, 1 bathroom. For you to get into that apartment, what did you have to pay?
I have to pay like a down payment of $1,600.
You had to give them $1,600?
Yeah, for a down payment.
Okay, what is that for deposit or is that first month's rent?
Deposit, but it also includes first month's rent.
Okay, so that included first month's rent. So if I had to guess, your rent's probably around $800 a month, somewhere around there, right?
Yeah.
So that was first month's rent and security deposit,
Yes.
right? Now, when you bought the home, or excuse me, now when you rented the property, did it come furnished?
No.
It didn't come furnished, right?
No.
Okay.
So I had to get, so like everything I had to transfer from, so everything, I have to like get on my own. So that's like something that, I have to.
So how much did it cost for furnishings?
So
You spent, to get in a 1 bedroom, 1 bath,
Yeah.
you spent $1,600 to get in,
Yeah.
which was first month's security deposit,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
Did the property come furnished?
No.
How much money did you spend on furnishing and all that? That's about, I would say your unit's at least minimum 500 square foot. Easy. Maybe even 600, 700. Whatever, it doesn't matter. I would say 500 to 800 square foot.
But still, like, I paid about like 600 for all the amenities. So like the couch, and then the dining table, and then the bed and the frame and stuff like that. As well as, like, the nightstand. So
now
that's around like $600.
So you're in at what, 2,200 now, roughly?
Roughly, yeah.
About $2,200. So first month's security deposit
Yep.
and furniture,
Yep.
right? $2,200. What about power? Did you have to pay any deposits?
No, not when I first got there.
Not when you first moved
I
in.
had to make sure that we had.
What about cable?
I
Internet?
didn't have cable. No,
Internet?
Oh yeah, internet. Surprisingly, my place comes with internet.
Okay, so your place comes with internet. Perfect. All right, so what about electricity? How much is your bill every month?
Around 300.
300 a month? 300 a month for a 1 bedroom?
Yeah.
Are you serious, dude?
I'm so serious.
Bro, what in the hell are you doing in there, bro? Do you got like a marijuana grow house or something? I'm serious, dude. Like, what is $300 a month in a little studio apartment or a 1 bedroom apartment?
For real, don't have.
Wow.
I know.
Wow. Okay, all right. So, dude, that's expensive, right?
I know.
You're one person in a 1 bedroom apartment, it's $300 a month. Are you sure? Are you sure?
Hold on, let me check.
No, it's all right. It's all right. You don't have to go and check, right? But okay, so now you're at.
Yeah. So I'm at like
All right.
2,800.
Okay, you're at 2,800. No, that's not to get into the unit. So you're only at $2,200 to get in the unit.
Yeah.
Did you have to make any repairs or hire a cleaner or anything like that?
No.
All right. So here's my point. You're at $2,200 for a 1 bedroom, 1 bath to get into a unit in Orlando, which is damn cheap actually, right? That's like unheard of.
Yeah.
Your ongoing monthly cost, variable and fixed, would you say it's about, you have your $800 rent, you're at $800, $900, $1000, $1,100 between rent and utilities.
Yes.
Your internet's included. Are you paying any other costs like parking or anything like that?
No.
Okay. So you're at $800, $900, $1000. So you're at $1,100 a month between just rent and power.
Yes.
That's every single month. And the power bill is variable.
The variable is variable. I think that
So it can go up to 500 or 400 or 200, right? So let's just say average $1,000 a month, right? You're paying every single month, right?
Yes.
What PadSplit has done, so you have a better understanding, is they have eliminated the large deposits. You don't have to pay a security deposit. You don't have to pay these first, last, and security. You don't have to pay all these huge deposits, right? So the barrier to entry is a lot lower, and when you go and you get a PadSplit room, all water, all electric, internet is all included within that month or that weekly expense that we call dues, right?
Yes.
Because you rent per week. Now, it's not transient. Most of the time people stay between, they say on PadSplit, based on their data, the average person stays between 7 to 9 months based on their data, right?
So wait, so
7 to 9 months is the average duration of time somebody will book a room.
So they're paying roughly around $31,500 in total for 6 to 9 months.
Yeah.
Which is not bad, because that means
wait,
that's like,
what math are you doing?
so you said,
well,
so,
room rates on PadSplit, just so you know, depending on the market you're in.
Yeah.
Like the Jacksonville market, the average. Let's talk about averages.
Yeah. So what's the average of like a year?
The average in Jacksonville, the average in Jacksonville is 176 a week.
So 176 a week
times 4.
Times 4. So that means that's 704.
Yep. Times 12.
Times 12 days. 12.
No, 12. No, times 12.
Times 12. That's 8,448.
No, yes, correct.
Yeah,
8,000. That's how much they're paying a year to.
But people don't stay for a year.
No, people stay longer than that. People can stay as long as they want.
I thought there was a limit for that.
No, they can stay 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 4 year, 5 year, whatever. As long as that PadSplit is in service as a PadSplit or a co-living property, doesn't have to be like signified as a PadSplit, they can live at the property. So I'm just telling you the average. Let's talk about averages. If you look at the average person, they're staying there between 7 to 9 months. But my point to you is what PadSplit has solved is they have solved the affordability problem in the aspect of individuals who don't have the first, the last, the security, who don't have the money to furnish a whole entire unit, who want everything very simplistic in the sense of, oh, I can pay weekly dues, right? I don't have no long-term commitments at this property, but I get a fully furnished place, I get all utilities, I get internet, I get everything. Everything.
Yeah.
Right?
You get everything you need.
So they're able to help out individuals, again, who are in the job force, who might not make as much money, or maybe who's in transition points in their life and need a cheap place to stay.
Great.
See what I'm saying?
So what is the primary risk you foresee with PadSplit investment, and how do you plan to mitigate them?
So the only risk I see is the market becomes very, very, very saturated. It's going to take a long time for the market to become very, 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 very saturated. But anyway, so what I see is if the market becomes very saturated and we have a lot of supply and there is a lot of demand, but the demand is not as high, then you're going to have to take your nightly rate or your weekly rates down. And over time, it can continue to decrease and decrease. So right now, I don't see that being a problem, and majority of markets are not saturated. There's probably a couple of them that are starting to see numbers that are close to saturated. I'm not sure, because I'm not looking at other markets that potentially might be saturated. Like, I hear from people that Atlanta is saturated. I don't know, but I hear that that's one of the, I think that's the first market, and they're still seeing tons of growth and tons of demand. I'm not sure. You'd have to get with a PadSplit representative to kind of answer that question for that particular market. I just know my markets, and my markets, none of them are saturated. None of them are close to being saturated. But I guess that's the only thing I see as a risk. When I go to exit the asset, obviously I'm going to try to sell it as a co-living property, turnkey co-living property. And worst case scenario, if I can't exit it as a co-living property, I can always spend the money to convert the property back, right? So when I'm taking down my properties, I also keep that into consideration, where I can pay to have the property turned back to its original state. See what I'm saying?
What do you think a PadSplit, for a PadSplit, what do you think is essential? Since I say, okay, as a consumer, I say basically that, I need certain things, but everyone's different. Everyone has, unique things. So what are essentials that would fit, any guest with, that comes in?
To me, you have to have, essentials, and I call it bare minimum. You need to have, obviously, your bed. Well, there's requirements, right? You have to have your bed, your mattress, your nightstand. But bare minimum to me is obviously like your basic requirements that PadSplit requires you to have, like, a lock on the door, your bed, your nightstand, your lamp, stuff like that, like bare minimum stuff. But to me, bare minimum is every room needs to have a mini fridge. Every room needs to have a desk, an office chair. Every room needs to have a reach-in closet. I'm not a big fan of dressers. Now, I do have a couple of PadSplits with dressers. I went away with doing dressers. Every single room actually has a closet with a door where somebody can go in there and put their items in. And it can actually be nice and organized and tucked away, right? Every single room has a TV, a 32-inch TV, smart TV, where they can stream hundreds of channels. Every single room has a nice lamp. Every single room has a ceiling fan. Some of my premium rooms have their own climate control, their own mini split systems. Some of my premium rooms have their own entrances. Some of my premium rooms have their own bathrooms, right? So I'm able to get both types of clientele. The person who just needs budget-friendly, affordable room, and then I'm able to get somebody who's not as tight of on a budget, is willing to spend another $20, $30 a week to have their own AC and or their own bathroom, right? But those stuff that I just mentioned are bare minimum. And if you're not doing the bare minimum in your property, you're gonna have trouble. And going back to what I said, you're not gonna stick out from the competition, right? Because what makes my PadSplit property different than your PadSplit property? How do I stand out, right?
Am I doing the bare minimum?
Right.
Or am I
some people, like I see some hosts and operators, they don't do like any artwork on the walls. They put like a bed frame, a nightstand, and a lamp. That's it. They don't even put sheets on the bed. They don't put quilts on the bed. I make sure that my beds are all staged correctly with colorful sheets to really pop in the marketing photos. I don't supply linens, just so you know. I only do this for the very first person who books with me. They get a set of sheets. They get a set of a quilt. It's like a welcome package, right? That's what that's for.
Welcome package.
Yeah.
Okay.
Welcome. You're the first guest that we have, and then that's it.
Nice. How's the drive so far?
Bro, amazing. We're almost there, actually.
Almost an hour away. And we just been...
We're actually passing through Palm Coast right now. We'll be hitting that on the way back.
Hey.
Am I interested in partnering with other investors for larger scale projects? Absolutely. So one of the things that I'm doing now from a scalability standpoint is I'm buying deals and I'm syndicating. And what that means is basically I'm doing all the upfront negotiations, make sure that the property is in the condition that we anticipate when we put it under contract in. So in our due diligence phase, basically me and my team, we're doing everything from A to Z, from contracting the property to negotiating the deal, to doing the due diligence phase, to actually actively operating the asset for 5 to 7 years, depending on what the exit strategy is. We're doing all that stuff. And basically what we're doing is we're partnering with other individuals who have what we call lazy capital, meaning like their money is sitting in a bank account, or maybe they have an inheritance, or maybe they have a 401k or retirement account that they're ready to liquidate because they have no idea how it's performing, right? I'm actually partnering with other individuals who want double-digit returns backed by real estate. So the cool thing about this is they don't have to come in and negotiate the deal. They don't have to lock it up with the seller. They don't have to operate or have the skill set to know how to operate the deal. They don't have to do any of the day-to-day. They don't have to do anything. All these individuals have to do is put capital in for equity, right? So what happens is we'll take me and my team, typically we own 30% of the deal, and we give 70% of the deal away to what we call limited partners. They have limited partnerships in the deal, but they get all the same benefits to owning real estate just like I do. They get all the future upside, they get cash flow, they get depreciation on their taxes, they get every single thing, right? But they're 100% passive. So we call these individuals limited partners in these deals. So they own 70% of the deal, we own 30% of the deal. So the cool thing about this is it's a win-win, because you have the individuals, and you'd be surprised at the amount of individuals who are sitting on hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions, and the money is not working. So the only way you're gonna make more money is if your money's working, right? You have to keep the money moving, is what I tell people. If the money's not moving, then you're not gonna be making money on your money, right? If it's just sitting there in a bank account like Chase or Wells Fargo or Bank of America, the money's actually depreciating. And so rather than your money depreciate, if you take your money and you deploy it into a really good operator like myself, we're able to take that money and bridge the gap between your money and my deal and combine both those together and able to buy real estate without you having to do all the know-how, negotiations, and the day-to-day work. We're doing all that with my team. So we're taking care of all that for 30% ownership in the deal. So partnering with individuals is my absolute number one focus from a scalability standpoint. Because even if I had, let's say, $5 million liquid right now, or $10 million liquid, or $20 million, like your money will only take you so far, right? Eventually I'm gonna be tapped out. So I partner with individuals who have lazy capital, and they're able to deploy it in my deals and have all the same ownership benefits of owning real estate, and continue to focus on either their 9 to 5 or their business that they own. They don't have to focus on the real estate portion. They're able to just deploy their capital and get a return. So that's the really cool part, and that's one of my main focuses right now, is partner with capital partners. So if you're a capital partner and you want to deploy in one of my multifamily deals, my RV parks, mainly I'm focused on outdoor hospitality, which is RV parks. If you want to deploy your capital in my deal, shoot me a DM at The Real Javier Paredes, send me the word capital, and we'll schedule a call, see if we're a good fit, we'll work on each other. I have a lot of opportunities that are coming to the table, and whether you want to invest in the deals that I have on the table right now, if you feel like they're a good fit for you and your investment or your risk tolerance for investments, then that's fine. If not, no big deal. We will have more deals coming to the table in the next several months, and I'm not going anywhere. I've been in the game for 10 years, so we will partner with you today, or we'll partner with you in the future. So don't feel like you need to buy or get into one of the deals that I'm doing as a limited partner. So right now, that's the main focus from a scalability standpoint, is getting capital into my deals from people who have lazy capital that want to be in real estate but just don't have the skill set, the know-how, and have the time.
Okay. So let's talk. We a little bit more partnerships. How do you handle conflict or disagreements in partnerships? Like, what is some advice that you would say that would be like, okay, like sometimes you just gotta like stand on your ground, but in a respectful and professional manner, so it doesn't feel like, okay, you're being an asshole about it.
Yeah. So I'll tell you my experience about partnerships and what I do to mitigate having a bad partnerships. And I've had many partnerships in the years I've been in business for myself. I've been in business for myself for 10 years. And I always tell people, the most important thing you can do before you get in a partnership with someone, make sure you guys are in the dating phase, right? See how you work with each other. See if that person's doing what they say they're gonna do, right? And what you could do is what I always tell people, before you get married with that individual, date them for a while. And when I say a while, 6 months, a year, before you get in this intimate business partnership. That way you know when you do get in that intimate business partnership, it's very sticky. But here's the challenge. The challenge is you can do all this filtering and all these ways of mitigating the risk of you losing that great partner that you're trying to cultivate. And then all of a sudden, 5, 6, 7, 10 years, things change with that individual or you. And that could absolutely jeopardize the partnership. Because even though you did all the filtering and you did all the qualifications and you felt like this is the best partnership, and maybe it was the best partnership for the last 4 or 5 years. And I've been in partnerships where they were fantastic for 4 or 5 years, and then all of a sudden things changed, right? That partner that was on the same railroad track as me was now on a different railroad track, right? And so we don't see eye to eye to things. And that's okay, because partners and partnerships will have a natural progression, right? And they might go off and start doing other things, or they might have interest in doing some other things. So what I would say is, number one, you need to date that person before you get married to that individual. That's number one. Number two is, if the partnership does go south in any shape or form, I always tell people, don't burn bridges. You don't have to say you hate the person or that this person sucks or whatever. Try your best to figure out how you can make it a win-win for that individual, in the sense of maybe you buy them out, right, of the company, where they're no longer a partner and they exit for a certain, percent or money or whatever it is. Or maybe they become a silent partner, right, and they don't have voting rights. There's so many different ways you can manipulate that partnership to make it where that person feels comfortable exiting, right? Because most of the time they're going to say, okay, well, I'm okay with selling my equity position in the company or my share, whatever it is, but what does that look like for me? So it's coming to terms. I would say, if it's a bad partnership, you feel like it's a bad partnership, or you feel like that partner wants to exit and go different separate directions, that's okay. What I would say is try to figure out quick as possible a resolution, but make sure that you guys are communicating. The challenge is most business partnerships don't communicate, and that communication hinders the partnership as well. So have open communication. It's okay that you have a different outlook on where you want to go, right? And not like, maybe you don't want to do real estate anymore. Maybe you want to go into tech or world or start another business with another partner. That's okay. As us humans, the best thing about us is we got to continue to evolve. See what I'm saying? So out of all the partnerships I've had, I would say my biggest mistake was going into partnerships too quick, not actually qualifying, not actually doing any filtering, just getting married and not dating, getting in way too quick. There has to be some sort of filter. You guys need to collaborate, communicate, make sure you date, and make sure that you guys have the same morals and beliefs and visions for what you guys want, the empire that you guys want to cultivate. Moving too fast kills a partnership very quickly. So, but yeah, so going back, I always say you can do all the filtering, you can mitigate as much as you want, but you could still have a bad partner 5, 6, 7, 10 years from now. And if you see that you're starting to have a partnership dwindle down, make sure you try to get that individual to exit, or you exit quick as possible. Or maybe they just become a silent partner in the business now versus not an actual partner, decision maker in the business. How can you make it a win-win for both parties is my thing. And just communicate that. It's not as easy as 1, 2, 3, snap your fingers and all of a sudden they're a silent partner or they're out of the business. It's going to take a lot of time and communication. It's going to take a lot of conversations, especially the bigger the company, the harder it becomes, right? So merging in the sense of, let's say, like a secondary market is merging with a core market,
like any market that is in that you're trying to, engage in or target at?
So again, looking at the economics, when I'm looking at, a market that's merging, I'm looking at the economics, what's happening around the market. I'll make an example. One of my properties that I bought in North Carolina is outside of Asheville. And Asheville, North Carolina is a great market, a great real estate market. But that market, it's to a point to where everything outside of Asheville is just merging with Asheville, right? So like, for the instance, like I have a property 20 minutes outside of Asheville, west of Asheville. And individuals are okay with paying cheaper cost to live to commute 20 minutes to get to Asheville, right? Which is a major city in North Carolina. So what's happening is everything around Asheville is merging. The airport is growing. Big employers are starting to move into there. Distribution centers. You have all these different aspects of the economics of Asheville that are just making this, it's just blowing up more and more. I remember I've been going to Asheville for years now, and every time I go to Asheville, it just becomes bigger and bigger. So understanding the economics behind what's going on in that market is the best thing. Like, you should, if you're going to any market, becoming a real estate investor, you should know that market in and out, right? What is the median home price? Who are the biggest employers? Going back to what I said earlier, what's the population growth rate? What's the employment growth? What are the economics of that, right? You can get very geeky with it and get very, very granular. I don't get that granular, but it's understanding what the economics of that is, and it's all at your fingertips online, right? So I also look for markets that are outside of major metro areas that are like 20, 30 minutes. Again, if the population in, let's say, Atlanta or Jacksonville is continuing to grow and grow and grow and grow and grow, and they can't keep up with the demand, people are naturally going to push out to the suburbs and markets that are 20, 30 minutes, from that market. So if the population continues to push out and more jobs keep coming to those major metro areas, those markets just outside of that major metro market are going to start merging, right? It's going to be a merging market, just like my Waynesville, North Carolina market. I see a lot of multifamily development there. I see a lot of builder growth as far as like D.R. Horton's building like crazy, putting up houses. We just put up 300 units. Well, not we. There's a developer that put up 300 units, 300 multifamily units in Waynesville, North Carolina. So you could see just those aspects. These big projects that cost multi-millions are being spent, and they're filling up these units quick because the demand. People spend, cheaper rent, and they like it because it's a little bit quieter, removed from Asheville. So that, to me, all day screaming merging market.
What do you think is the best state to invest in as of right now?
Best state?
What's the best state that you think would be a good way to invest in any property?
Wait, what's a good state to invest into?
Yeah, what's a good state to invest a new property in? So if you're looking for to start over, and
I would say landlord-friendly markets that have the laws in favor of the landlord. Markets like North Carolina, Georgia, Florida, Texas. These are great markets to become a real estate investor in because the laws are in your favor as a landlord. These states are great states that have economic growth as well. Florida is my prime market, but I don't just own properties in Florida. I have Texas, I have North Carolina. But I only go into markets that are landlord-friendly markets, that the laws are within my favor, for being a landlord. It's not like New York. You go to New York, you don't pay your rent. It could take them a year to kick out someone, The laws. I mean, it's maybe not a year, but it's a very, very lengthy process to get someone out because the laws aren't in their favor, right? It's just not a great market to be a real estate investor. Now, don't get me wrong, people make money in those markets as a real estate investor, and I'm not saying you can't make money, but I just prefer to stick with states that have landlord-friendly laws. I like hot climate states as well, like anything East Coast. That's why I like Georgia. I like, obviously, Florida. That's my core market. North Carolina, South Carolina, stuff like that. Love those markets.
So
get that Gatorade, bro.
Yeah. Should be sponsored. Landlord friendly. Can you talk more about that and what most for someone that?
So landlord friendly just means like, hey, look, these are red states. These are red states. You know how you have blue states, your red states?
Yeah.
The red states are the states that you want to invest into, right? These are the states that have laws in place to where if you have to evict a tenant, the process is a lot quicker than your blue states. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So if you look at what states are most landlord friendly, you Google it, it will give you a category from A to Z on what states have the most tenant or most landlord friendly laws in place just in case that landlord had to remove a tenant. See what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Some states, it's super, super, super hard to get tenants out of the property if they don't pay. Other states, you can get it done quick. Maybe 30 days. Maybe 45. Like Florida, it's fast. If you file an eviction with an attorney or yourself, you don't need an attorney to file an eviction, you can get a non-paying tenant out in like 45 days. Right? Sometimes even quicker, by about 45 days, something like that. Some states, it might take you 4, 5, 6 months. Me personally, one of the things that I look at for market trends is it depends what I'm looking at. So if I'm looking at like mortgages, like I just want to know what like mortgage rates are, I go to mortgagedailynews.com. They have a ton of data there. You can also go to websites that you guys know of, like if you want to look at like housing trends, you can go to like Zillow or Apartments or Realtor.com. They'll give you tons of data from their database. These are the biggest home sites for home buying sites in the nation. So they have all this data they compiled, and then they give away data for free. So they'll talk about average home price, what are properties selling, days on market, stuff like that. So Realtor.com, Zillow, Apartments.com are great sites, resources for that. MortgageDailyNews.com is great for people who want to try to keep up with the trends on mortgages and getting data on that. If you're looking for commercial, CoStar and LoopNet.com are great sites that you can keep your eye on to understand what the market conditions are and to get like what cap rates are for the market and stuff like that. But for me, I really hone in and I continue to look and stay up to date on my local market for I see updates through all those sites that I just mentioned, just seeing houses because I actually own a lot of single family, so I like to see the trends. So I'll use like Zillow and Realtor.com to see what data that they're putting out, because remember, they have all these houses for sale and they have all these houses that go pending and under contract, and so they have all this data. They're a data aggregator, right? And they're able to provide that data for free for us. And so I look up on there. You can also use sites, like if you're a realtor, you can use, MLS, and the local realtor board puts out, weekly and monthly reports on homes sold, pending, under contract, and medium home price and stuff like that. So you can do a combination, a little bit of everything. But if you're watching this and you're not a realtor, I would just say go on Realtor.com. And you can go over any market, any zip code, and get data for free. It's packaged right there for you for free. Pretty accurate, I would say, too.
How important is proximity to public transportation, school, or employment hubs? when you're investing in a property?
I mean, it's common sense, right? Like if I buy a property and it's in Cowtown and Horsetown, and there's one home every 5-6 miles, then that tells you like you probably should be buying that home as a buy and hold, right? You maybe can consider it as like a fix and flip if the market, dictates that, but like it's simple, right? Like you buy a home, you want to be in areas where there's population, where there's employment, right? If there's no employment around, how are people going to go to work and pay you your rent every single month, or whatever you're doing as an exit strategy? So being around, it doesn't have to be, you don't have to be next to a bus stop per se, but you want to be in an area where there's other homes, there's other people, there's employers, there's things that are going on. If you're in a town where there ain't no traffic, there ain't no stoplights, then you shouldn't be investing in there. I like to be in big cities, and I also like to be in secondary markets that are near big cities as well, that are phenomenal. But again, I want to look at what's the job growth. That goes back to what I keep saying, economics. What are the economics of that? Is the population growing for the last 10 years? Is the employment rate growing for the last 10 years? Right? Look at these metrics to see what they're doing. And you can get, good data, and that way can tell you like, hey, you're in a good market and stuff like that. But you can't go wrong buying in a big major metro city, like, Dallas, Texas, you got Orlando, you got Tampa, you got these big core markets, Arizona, Scottsdale, Arizona, Phoenix. These are great markets for investments. These markets are growing, they're innovating constantly. So you can't go wrong buying a house in there. Now, one thing I will say though, and certain investors will buy in certain type of, like I personally like I would say like C plus to B minus neighborhoods.
Yeah.
Right? I don't want my car to be jacked up on cinder blocks when I come out of the house, right? I want people and my tenants to feel safe and secure wherever they're renting from me as well. And that makes a big difference. Now, there are certain investors that focus on the flip side of that, where they're okay with like the D minus neighborhoods and stuff like that. But me personally, I prefer, a little bit, that mid-class, neighborhood roughly, because you get a different type of clientele. You get somebody who's a little bit more sophisticated. You get a little bit someone who's more serious about their financial picture, and they're just more responsible overall, So neighborhoods, I like to be in neighborhoods that are, I would say like C, C or above, B minus, I'm in some A neighborhoods as well,
But it's like you want to make sure that, any client who sees the property knows that they're in a safe neighborhood, and depending on the client,
if you got a 3-2, you got a 4-2, most likely somebody like a family is going to want to rent it from you, right? It's family with kids, they have kids, then they're going to want to feel safe and secure there. So.
How do you calculate a break-even point for a potential investment?
Good question. So how do you calculate a break-even point for a potential investment? So what you want to do is when you're underwriting your investment, first of all, you need to know and have a clear understanding of what type of exit strategy you're going to do when you acquire that piece of property. Is it going to be a buy and hold, like a long-term traditional buy and hold, which everybody's familiar with, right? That's where Susie Q is renting the property from the landlord at 123 Main Street, and they pay every single month, kind of like what you're doing, right? Well, not kind of, that's what you're doing. That's
Absolutely
what we call, in the real estate world, we call that long-term rental, right?
Yes.
Then you have all these other exit strategies like Airbnb. You have now co-living, right? Those are some common ones. You have midterm rentals. These are all different common ones, right? But let's just use, for simplicity standpoint, let's talk about long-term rental. If I'm a landlord and I own a long-term rental, which I'm not a big fan of, right? I'm not a big fan of long-term rental.
Can I ask why?
I'm not a fan of long-term rental is because typically you sign a 12-month lease agreement. There is high taxes everywhere in every market pretty much. Insurance is high. By the time you factor in your insurance, your property taxes, your capex, your vacancies, you're paying your mortgage, you're paying any miscellaneous stuff like if you pay for lawn or pool maintenance, if you're paying in your management company, typically they charge 10% of the gross revenue. By the time you pay all that every single month with that exit strategy, you're typically in the negative. Like the days of making money with a long-term rental are like gone. Wow. They're gone. They're gone. Because remember, insurance goes up, taxes go up every freaking year. They've been going up for me. My insurance goes up year over year. My property taxes get reassessed every single year. That's every single property. And operating cost to operate the asset is just too high. So I can't acquire a property and go long-term rental, because what happens is I lose money every single month. For me as a real estate investor, I'm not gonna lose money, right, on the asset. So with a long-term rental, your break-even point is after you pay your PITI, which is principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. You pay for your capex every single month. You don't pay for it. You have an oh shit fund. That means you allocate 10% of the gross revenue and you put that to an oh shit fund.
What's an oh shit fund?
Oh shit fund is your AC. Do you think it lasts forever?
No.
Does your roof last forever?
No.
Does your plumbing last forever?
No.
Does your floor last forever? Kitchen cabinets last forever?
No.
Nothing in a home lasts forever. So you have to have a budget that is allocated for future improvements, or let's say an AC all of a sudden needs to be replaced because it's 16 years old and you need to replace the AC. If your property is being rented at $2,000 a month, you should be taking 10%, which is $200, and putting that into a oh shit rainy day fund, what we call capital expenditures in real estate, right? Because you're gonna have expenses.
Agreed.
Every single month, right? Some months you might go, there's no calls from the tenants. You might go a year, no call from the tenants. You might go 2 years, no call from the tenants. But there will be a point in time, again, it's part of the business, where you get a call, hey, the AC's not working. You call a technician, they go over there, say, hey, Javier, we're here at the property. Man, we can really try to repair this thing, but it's 17, 18, 19 years old. I highly recommend you replace the unit. And then you have to get and take $7,500, $6,500, depending on the unit size, of course. But you're talking anywhere between, $5,000 to $7,000 to replace an AC unit right now, right? That's a lot of money. So if you're not allocating a budget for these repairs, then you're gonna have to come out of pocket, and you're gonna get hit one day with this big bill that you didn't realize was coming and you weren't properly prepared for it. So, going back to your question, what is a break-even point, right? Where if you paid your principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, let's say your rent is $2,000 a month that you're getting from the tenant, alongside your principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, you have are you paying for lawn? Are you paying for pool, right? If you have a pool. I don't know if you are or if you're not. I typically always tell people, if you have a pool guy come there and just charge a little bit higher rent and have your own pool guy come. And the reason why is because a lot of people aren't going to take care of the pool the right way. And then if they don't take care of the pool the right way, it's going to cost you more money in the long run. When you could just hire a pool boy for $150 a month to come every single week to check the chlorine levels, to make sure that the filters are good, to sweep the pool, to make sure that everything, the maintenance-wise, is done according to the specs of what the pool requires. So, but for the lawn, I always say you need to have that for lawn care. You should put that on the tenant. You can include that in your rent, but I'm just saying, your break-even point would be, hey, you rent for $2,000. Your rent that your income that you're receiving from the tenant every month is $2,000. Let's say that your mortgage, your principal, your PITI, which is principal, insurance, taxes, and insurance, right? Let's say that's $1,000 a month. Then you have to factor in 10% for your CapEx budget. So now you're at $1,200 a month. Then you have to give $200 a month to the property manager because they're about 10%. They're anywhere between 8 to 10% a month of the gross revenue, right? 8 to 10% a month of the gross revenue. And then you have to factor in, so you have your principal, tax, and insurance, you have your CapEx budget, you have your vacancy, you have your property manager, you have all these expenses you have to be paid. So if you add all that up and it comes out to $2,000 a month, which you're gonna be damn close, then you would be break even because the property's only getting $2,000 a month in income, and your expenses, your operating expense to operate the property is $2,000 a month. So you're break even, it's a wash. Now, there are a lot of benefits to owning real estate. It's not just about your cash flow. You get tax depreciation for every single family residential property you buy. The IRS allows you to get what's called a 27.5-year depreciation on your taxes every single year. You get loan pay down. You get future leverage. You can use the asset as you can use it as collateral. You get all, I mean, I can keep going on. There's all these different benefits to owning real estate. It's not just one thing, which is a lot of people think just cash flow. So I say if you're doing long-term rental, there's no money in it. If you're okay with high income earner, you just want the tax benefits, the future appreciation, stuff like that, then go for it. But again, you're break even. One repair of an AC or plumbing or a roof can put you out for years, and now you're only banking on appreciation. So I always tell people the traditional long-term way of investing in a real estate, which is long-term rentals, that is like done, over with, like there's no money in it. I always tell investors, if you're gonna get in the game, it's a little bit more hands-on as far as the management aspect, but if you put the right systems and processes in place, like I said, I have my 3-day take flight challenge. If you click the description below, you get it 100% for free. But my thing I tell people is, if you're going to be in real estate and you're gonna go non-traditional route, and you're gonna go like midterm rental, Airbnb, or co-living, which out of all three of those, my favorite one right now is co-living, because the times we're in, the circumstances we're in, it's just not affordable to live anymore. Things are so expensive. So I'm able to give back to my local communities by providing room rentals. And the reason I always tell investors, if you're getting in the game, this is one of the best strategies, because I want you to think about it from an aspect of you're spreading your risk really, really wide. Meaning, you're not just renting one property to Susie Q and they're paying you rent every month. You're renting a property to 5, 6, 7, sometimes 9 individuals under one roof. And if one person stops paying you, you still have 6, 7, 8, 9 people paying you every single month, depending on how many bedrooms you have. So your risk is spread a lot wider, right?
Okay.
You're not just renting to one individual, one home. So if they don't pay you rent 1 month, like you, if you don't pay your rent, your landlord rent 1 month, he's out of business. He's not out of business until you start paying him again, and or he kicks you out and gets a new tenant.
Yeah.
And for more information, make sure you like and subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't, at The Real Javier Paredes, and I'll see you guys on the other side. Take care.